Looking at Transformers Prime again today, let's talk about the episode Hard Knocks, which I liked a lot, actually. I still have some problems with it, with how they're handling Smokescreen's plot, but there was a plot development in this one at the very end of the episode that I completely forgotten about. I still don't remember the implications of it from my first watch through the show, and it got me. It was pretty freaking good. This was very much an in-betweeny kind of episode, though, so there's not a ton of plot-related stuff to talk about. They're still trying to decipher the locations of the other Omega Keys. And Optimus is still doing a good job of that, being really stinking good at what he does. But Soundwave is also very stinking good at what he does. And as he's been deciphering these, he's been getting better at it. So he's starting to decipher them faster than Optimus, which sucks. So when a team of Bumblebee and RC goes for the second Omega Key, Knockout is already waiting there with that sonic blaster thing that Soundwave got a while back. And he makes chumps out of him because it's a freaking relic. Of course he does. Because for some reason the Autobots aren't using the relics they've gotten so far. It's really freaking stupid. Like, send one or both of them with a relic. Send one with a phase shifter, the other one with the Apex armor. Right? Like, I'm not saying Knockout still couldn't have beat him. He still could have, technically, but it would have been a lot harder. It would have been a more even fight. What that means, though, is that now Megatron has one of the keys. He's able to see that it's exactly identical in design to the last relic, which doesn't make sense. Like he thinks at first maybe it's a decoy that the Autobots planted it, but it wouldn't really make sense to leave a decoy that looks the same as a relic that Megatron's already seen. Right? Which means that this is probably authentic. It's just another instance of the same thing, which now has him wondering what the heck these things are. Which isn't good. Meanwhile, Starscream has refined his red energon, his I'm the Flash now energon, basically. He has enough for 2 doses of it, which means, he can fill up his tank maybe twice. Like, he thinks maybe 2. 1 for sure, maybe 2. So he'll be the Flash for as long as it takes him to run out of fuel, maybe twice. And on top of that, you've still got Smokescreen, who, again, he's trying to be more thoughtful, and he's trying to actually, think things through and be more successful with what he does. But he still thinks that he's supposed to be here, that he's supposed to be like their Lancer, their hero, that he's going to be the deciding factor in this war. The fact that he was Alpha Trion's protege, and now here they are looking for relics that Alpha Trion left here on Earth, has got him thinking that he's supposed to be involved in this, that it's a destiny thing. And, on one hand, I like some of the stuff he's saying here. He wants to get out there and get stuff done. He thinks they should be sending more guys at once. But even Megatron at this point is really dividing his forces to make sure he has the resources to go for multiple relics at once, which is why only 2 Autobots were sent after the first relic in this episode. Because Optimus and the other Autobots are thinking the same way. But, at the same time, I was just saying a couple of reviews ago, when Optimus still first had the Starsaber, that the Autobots have shown that they can take on the entire Decepticon force semi-successfully. They should have pressed their advantage. So I get where Smokescreen is coming from. The other Autobots are talking about slow and steady, how they have to be careful and think things through, but it's possible to be tactical and still, make progress, actively push forward and make progress. And they're not really in the position to do that right here. I understand that. They were in a better position to do that when Optimus had first gotten the Starsaber, for example. But also, I mentioned if they had taken some relics with them, RC and Bumblebee probably would have been able to beat Knockout. If they had sent everybody, they probably would have been able to beat Knockout. One thing that the Autobots don't ever do, and I won't ever understand why they don't, Megatron knows that they split their forces up sometimes because they don't have a lot of guys, so they send smaller teams. So why have the Autobots never once ground bridged directly to a location with, like, 2 guys, and then ground bridged to a place a little ways away, like maybe at a vantage point, for example, with, like, 2 more of their guys, so that when the inevitable Decepticon ambush comes in for those first 2 guys, the other 2 are ready to back them up and ambush the ambushers. It's a tactic that would play on Megatron's and the other Decepticons' expectations of the Autobots' behavior. It feels like they could be doing so much more. And they aren't. And we definitely shouldn't be, like, listening to Smokescreen here exactly. But his desire to push ahead and do more and accomplish more does resonate with me. But at the same time, he's also got this whole destiny thing in his head. Like, RC calls him out on it, and she does a pretty freaking good job of it. Like, she said basically everything I would have wanted to say to him in that moment. That you're never going to succeed in a war like this if you think you're the most important person. Even if you care about the rest of the team and, like, look up to the rest of the team and want to work with the rest of the team, if you think you're more important than the rest of them, you're never going to synergize well with them. And that's my main problem with Smokescreen here. His general attitude, like, towards wanting to actually make more progress towards defeating the Decepticons, is, I think, a good one, but his reasons are wrong. Thinking that this is the time to push ahead because he's destined for greatness in this specific sequence of events is destructive. It's going to get somebody killed if they act on it. And yet, as much as I did think it was a cool twist at the end of the episode, this episode again kind of rewards him for this attitude. He's been told off by RC. Optimus did tell her to give him a break, that she had made her point. But then when she kept going, he didn't stop her, and he didn't say anything else after the fact. He didn't back Smokescreen up after the fact. So Smokescreen runs off, and Optimus lets him go to clear his head, right? And you're like, cool, he's going to undergo some personal growth and come back better for it. But then they decode the last entry. And it's him. He is somehow the last key. Which means it is a destiny thing. Like, it's arranged, I would imagine, by Alpha Trion. Alpha Trion did something to him to make him the last Omega Key. But he was right. And man, it's an interesting twist, because I genuinely didn't expect it. I didn't remember it at all, and I didn't expect it. But at the same time, they validated his attitude. And I'm hoping that that was just, oops, we didn't mean to do that, and they're not, like, saying that he should really be behaving this way, because the episode otherwise seems to be saying he shouldn't be behaving this way. But, like, it feels like they're saying he should be behaving this way. I don't know. It just, the show and his mixed messages are weird. It was still a good episode, though. There was even a really good fight between Dreadwing and Bulkhead, where, again, god dang it, Bulkhead, you should have double tapped him while he was down. But at the very least, it was a great fight. Particularly cool and brutal and well choreographed. And Bulkhead actually won it by outsmarting his opponent. Which, like, Bulkhead's not stupid or anything, but that's not a thing you see very often in spite of that. And we actually learned something in this episode which might explain why Megatron was so okay with letting the immediate conflict between him and Optimus end, that he didn't do anything more with his Dark Starsaber immediately after the original Starsaber was destroyed. It turns out, as Soundwave has been decoding these relic locations, Laserbeak's been out using the data that they've accumulated over time on the Autobots' movements to deduce the likely general area of their base. And so he is flying overhead as the Decepticons decode that last entry and see that it's Smokescreen, and he sees Smokescreen. And they're able to capture Smokescreen, and now they have a general idea of where the base is, and they're honing in on it. They're going to figure out its exact location eventually. And so it makes sense that maybe Megatron is waiting to do anything more with the Dark Starsaber until he can use it to, like, cleave their base in half or something. So this episode even closed up a plot hole in the previous episode. That's pretty stinking cool. Though I have to ask myself, I can't help but ask, man, why in this episode, in both instances where Megatron sent guys after a relic, he got one of them, he didn't get the other one because Starscream showed up and used the flash powers to get it, and then he overheard what the keys are for in the process. Why did he only send one guy each time? He has other guys. He has minion-y guys. Why didn't he send some of them too? It felt more like whoever wrote this episode had Megatron acting in that one specific way, at least, more like the Autobots would than how he would. I don't know if it was like a cost-cutting thing. They didn't want to animate a bunch of minion-y guys for this particular episode or what, but it felt a little weird. Still, the episode was really good. This is a really solid episode. It still mixes its messages a little bit, but it's just something you kind of have to take with this show. It's something I can move past, because the show is still good. And seeing RC tell Smokescreen off for some of his bullcrap was satisfying, and it has me thinking that one way or another, the show is trying to do something with him that isn't entirely objectionable. So I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt. That said, what do you guys think of the Transformers Prime episode Hard Knocks? If you have seen it, let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, you might as well like the video, share it with anyone else you think would enjoy my content, subscribe if you haven't. You can also check out links to my various social medias as well as the many ways you can help out the channel. Those will be in the video description. But either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.